Aha. Hmm. Aha. Ah. Huh. Hmm. Ah. Huh.
Have you found it yet? You want the photographic fixer?
And how would one know it from another?
It smells like ammonia. Handy, I suppose, when you can't see much in here. We've already been over this, Poirot. I don't want to argue.
I have no intentions of continuing our previous conversation. What we must address now is her potential guilt.
She didn't steal the painting, though. We know that.
Her guilt in Mademoiselle Court Smythe's murder.
Merci. Okay, I think that's everything. Oh,
Is there a problem?
there shouldn't be, but there must be light coming in from somewhere.
Is that not the point of a dark room? That it will allow no light in to damage the photographs?
We need to find where the light's coming in from and damaging the prints.
You continue your work, and I shall find the curious light source. Hmm. Huh. Monsieur Hastings, may we talk a...
I'm in the middle of developing these. Can it...
I'm afraid not.
Mr. Poirot, you are a genius. Mr. Poirot, you are a genius. That would never have even occurred to me. I've got a lot to learn. Look, this photograph is just about finished. Is that?
It appears so.
And what has she got in her hand? That can't be the same cigarette case.
The cigarette case that was taken from Mademoiselle Farquhar's luggage on our voyage here. It appears Mademoiselle Farquhar had a much closer relationship with Mademoiselle Court Smythe. I would say they...
Cousins.
Oui, monsieur. Hastings, I must thank you.
For what? Allowing myself to be enticed by Miss Farquhar's feminine nature.
For saving me from whatever Monsieur Aylesworth and his revolver had planned.
If it wasn't for me licking my wounds, you wouldn't have been there alone in the first place.
And if you were, and not at the Court Smythe estate, we would never have made such revelations. You are one of the most honest and authentic fellows I have met. You cannot allow a misguided moment of red-blooded male instinct to taint that.
You have never let yourself fall to the wicked ways of the fairer sex.
No, and that is a day I cannot even fathom. With Hastings' help at the Court Smythe estate, something I would have liked to have considered, we now know the reasoning behind Mademoiselle Farquhar's brutal actions towards her own cousin. The circumstances around the murder need no further consideration. But the location of the missing Benedette Magdalene still frustrates me. A moment of peace before one's little grey cells must ponder how Mademoiselle Court Smythe made it from the museum with the painting in tow. Ah yes, Hastings had something for me. An invitation to Mademoiselle Court Smythe's exhibit. Even after the truths of her crimes and personal betrayal, Mademoiselle Warbeck still feels it within her for a final send-off. Perhaps Mademoiselle did not leave with the painting at all.
Poirot, there you are. What are you...
On this occasion, there is no time for pleasantries. We shall finally bring the mystery of the missing painting to an end. We must return to the scene of the initial crime, the Royal Edward Gallery. Is everyone present? Please ask them to convene in the exhibition room.
Is there something you're not telling me?
All will be revealed. Messieurs et Mesdames, thank you for joining us here today.
What's this all about? Yes, my time is rather valuable.
I thought everyone was here to see the exhibition.
I'm all for looking at some real art, as long as it's not all hers.
I understand the frustration and hostility that most of you must feel towards her. For some, even...
Hatred, loathing, disgust.
Betty, please.
Even after everything, you stand here and defend her?
I'm not defending her. If anyone should hate her, it's me.
Perhaps you should move on.
In this room is where it all began. Or at least, that is how it appeared. We are all aware Mademoiselle Court Smythe was behind the painting's disappearance. But it was not a moment of greed that drove her, but rather a well-orchestrated plan that involved most of you tangled in her web of lies and deceit.
All right, we all know why we're here. Maybe you can speed it along a little.
At the detective inspector's request, I shall forego the series of events that led up to the theft of the penitent Magdalene painting. Perhaps a fitting place to begin would be with the death of Mademoiselle Court Smythe.
If that's gonna get things moving.
You are all aware of the fire and murder that took place at Mademoiselle Court Smythe's loft apartment.
The fire that she started after having one too many.
That is where the difference between desire for the truth and the actual truth go their separate ways. Inside Mademoiselle's apartment was the penitent Magdalene painting, or at least a forgery. The fire was set purposely, in an attempt to destroy evidence and hide the true nature of her death. Poison.
I know things got out of hand, but it was you that broke into my office in the first place.
There still remained one missing forgery. The image of the honorable and distinguished gentleman that you present yourself as has gone on long enough.
It may seem like an alien concept to you, but we English, we take great pride in how we present ourselves. How long are we going to entertain this man's twisted fantasies?
Poirot, can we move this along?
While searching the main hall for clues, a snuff box was found, full of cocaine. And after speaking with my good friend, Monsieur Demire, about the effects of cocaine on the human body,
recent studies have discovered that the use of cocaine and other such stimulants can put a tremendous strain on the human body, including an increased heart rate.
Oh, preposterous! I would never do that.
your heart attack became the perfect distraction, while Mademoiselle Court Smythe was able to slip into the exhibition room and remove the painting from the wall.
Faking a heart attack is pretty low, even for a politician.
Monsieur Hastings. Once the painting had been confirmed as stolen,
And Monsieur Aylesworth had bothered the detective inspector enough to show he had nothing to do with its disappearance.
he would get to keep the original and claim the insurance money. He was going to have his cake and eat it too.
I'm not going to stand here.
You'll stay right where you are.
A stolen painting, timed perfectly with his crossing of the aisle in the House of Commons. All designed to raise his profile, just in time to announce his desire to be a prime ministerial candidate.
I wasn't doing it for me. The poor and the needy. I wanted to give them a voice.
I have never heard a more self-righteous claim for breaking the law in all my life.
How am I meant to help those that really need it unless I'm in a position that can really bring about change? I have dedicated my life to serving God. I have no need to be involved in any of this.
The pieces you had commissioned by Mademoiselle Court Smythe, which hang on your church walls.
Why are we even standing here listening to this man?
Has this got anything to do with, frankly, anything?
Mademoiselle Court Smythe's forgeries would be hung on the church walls, while the originals were sold on the black market to lace your own pockets.
You have no proof of these accusations.
Poirot, the penitent Magdalene.
How could one forget? We have already discussed one of the multiple forgeries, and found amongst your hidden collection the second. Mademoiselle Court Smythe sold you a forgery that you believe to be real, and upon learning of its fabrication, you lashed out, destroying it. One should not allow oneself the arrogance to consider themselves the smartest in the room, especially when they have already fallen foul to another's lies and deception. I am sure theft and embezzlement are questionable enough in God's eyes.
I know you have a flair for the dramatic, but I do have a job to do.
I wonder how many other hidden skeletons are going to appear.
Haven't you caused enough damage?
Madame Hélène, the famous actress and performer, your story is one I learned with a heavy heart.
Look here!
When you overheard the conversation between your husband and Mademoiselle Court Smythe at the gala, your suspicions were confirmed.
I did everything to keep you happy, but it was never good enough.
It began with an infatuation, but turned into a relationship. With the money stolen from your wife, you planned on running away together.
So that's why you took it. You coward.
She manipulated me from day one. She used me. She used her.
Oh, just keep it shut.
Perhaps, for once, you should listen to your wife.
This is all going to make for some story.
Deals were hatched, forgeries were created, and promises were broken. Mademoiselle Court Smythe used a mask of deception and authenticity to betray you all. She allowed for you all to see and know only what was necessary to complete your part. Except for one.
As much as I'm enjoying this show, any chance we can get to who killed her?
You shall have to wait only a moment longer. As there was only one accomplice left, and perhaps the most important. Not only her aid in the museum, but in the construction of the forgeries. Mademoiselle Farquhar's deception began before I had even left the shores of Belgium.
You were part of it. The whole time.
Taking us all for fools.
You know where the painting is, and who killed Irene.
Mademoiselle Warbeck, do you remember the words you used when discussing your career?
No, I mean, yes. You're taking it out of context.
On the contrary, Mademoiselle Court Smythe threatened your career by involving you in the theft. The exact context you described.
I wouldn't kill her, though. I couldn't.
You cleaned the key to the restoration room, did you not? You continued to deny your involvement with the deceased. A relationship that was nothing more than misplaced love.
You think I don't know that now? I knew it had been her that took the key from my pocket. But when I confronted her...
Behind bars, that's where she belongs.
Give it a rest, old man.
She can't speak to me like that.
Before you continue riding your high horse, Your Grace, perhaps one should consider one's own actions.
My actions? How dare you? You're making a mockery of me, the Church, and God Himself.
It is you that makes a mockery, and I'm sure God will forgive me for saying so.
It all ends here, where it began.
Poirot, the penitent Magdalene.
I hope you're happy with yourself. My political career is over. Oh, congratulations. What slim chance you had of making it into heaven is gone now.
I know you have a flair for the dramatic, but I do have a job to do.
I wonder how many other hidden skeletons are going to appear.
And now, I have nothing thanks to you.
This is all going to make for some story.
Deep down, I knew she never loved me, and it was all too good to be true. As Blake said, hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Mademoiselle Court-Smythe manipulated everyone. But that does not excuse the parts that you all have played.
Poirot, the murderer. Tell us now, or I'm marching them all down the station.
Of our suspects, all guilty in some form or other, only one committed the ultimate sin. Monsieur Christiansen, a lover, jilted and tossed aside from a life promised together. Mademoiselle Warbeck, another that was promised her heart only to become a second, caught in Mademoiselle's web. Monsieur Aylesworth, anger that a foolproof plan backfiring. Bishop Mountjoy, a third, sold the idea of an original painting, livid at the thought he had been tricked. Mademoiselle Farquhar, trapped in a partnership where you did not receive what was owed to you. All with motive, but lacking opportunity. Until the realization that someone had used a timer to set the fire. Isn't that right, Mademoiselle Farquhar? Our true relation to the deceased. Cousins, standing to inherit her entire family estate.
You don't understand. It wasn't like that.
You decided to poison her with potassium cyanide, a chemical often found in photography development, via the cork of a bottle of champagne. Wearing an almost identical hat to the deceased, you were able to disguise yourself as her and be seen by the neighbor. Leaving her body lifeless in her own apartment, you tried to cover your involvement in both the forgeries and the murder by destroying any evidence. Incredibly clever. Your nefarious plan setting the fire almost tricked even I.
Did you really just praise her for starting a fire?
On the contrary, it was the deception behind the fire. A timer was used, allowing for Mademoiselle Farquhar to be seen in her office as she slipped in and out of the darkroom window.
I didn't want to kill her, but she gave me no choice.
She gave you no choice. You planned and executed a brutal murder. She was your cousin.
A cousin that has controlled me for years. I couldn't escape her.
She held you captive? I did not see a prison cell in her apartment.
No, of course she didn't. Emotionally and financially, I was her captive. I was a struggling critic. But she taught me how to stand up for myself and get what I wanted, what I deserved.
You were aware of her scheme all along?
Not at first. I didn't know she was selling them on the black market.
But even when you did find out, you didn't stop.
There was always a reason I couldn't. And what money I did get, she would hold for me. I couldn't remain under her control anymore. There was no other way.
Mademoiselle, there is always another way. All I see is the student becoming the master.
Detective Inspector, perhaps it is time that Mademoiselle was escorted to the police station. The truth has been revealed, and Mademoiselle Courtsmythe's murderer will pay the price for her crimes.
There is something you're forgetting, though.
If you think for a moment that the location of the original painting has slipped my mind.
Go on then, where is it?
In this very museum. If the original painting was to find its way into her portfolio, it would be returned to her after her exhibition has concluded. Meaning?
It would be delivered to her on a plate.
Exactement. She prepared one of her picture frames and made sure it would be in the restoration room.
What on earth is he doing?
You've got to be kidding me.
It would take too long to remove the nails from the frame and hide it, surely.
The nails were sawn down, creating the illusion of being used correctly, when in fact the backboard was easily accessible. Hidden perfectly behind what Mademoiselle Courtsmythe deemed to be her masterpiece.
I never doubted him for a second.
Messieurs et Mesdames, the penitent Magdalene.
Well, detective, you've solved both the theft and murder. I am rather impressed.
Finding the murderer and solving two thefts would have been far more impressive.
2 thefts? You already have another case?
You have forgotten Mademoiselle Farquhar's missing cigarette case.
Oh, of course. Do you think Miss Farquhar lied about it going missing after all? Perhaps it really was worth something.
Mademoiselle Farquhar is far from an honest woman. Lies tripping from her tongue at every turn. But if her motive was indeed to fake theft and claim the insurance money, she would surely not have let it lying where Mademoiselle Babagnan claimed to have found it. Mademoiselle Babagnan's motive is now clear. How she pulled off such a cunning theft still eludes me. Something Hastings said has my little grey cells fired up. Nothing is ever quite what it seems. I suppose we are all forgeries or counterfeits in some form or other. Could Mademoiselle Babagnan have pulled the wool over my eyes in a similar way? I must return to the evidence from the ship with this new perspective.
It is you that should be happy, mademoiselle. With no effort at all, you are able to save the day with barely a second thought. You turned a stolen heirloom with a thief and a victim into nothing more than a misplaced item.
A case of being in the right place at the right time.
I do not believe in coincidence. You were where you were meant to be. Had you not balded when you did, you would likely have not been invited to the gala at all. or been able to be within touching distance of so many beautiful and historical pieces, including the silver mantle. One thing I have learned during my time here in London is that people portray a version of themselves, one to be seen or be met, and another that remains hidden from the world.
What are you trying to say, detective?
That there are some that wear a mask of authenticity. That perhaps, under different circumstances, I would have had the pleasure of meeting a different Mademoiselle Babania.
Will you be leaving London now?
There are a few small matters to settle before I leave. Mademoiselle Farquhar is now in the hands of the Scotland Yard, where she will stand trial for her crimes.
You really do believe in the law, don't you?
If you do not believe in the law, madness and lunacy will ensue.
And everyone should be punished for their crimes?
I believe that we should be held accountable for our actions. No one man is above the law.
Or woman?
And you, mademoiselle? Are you to leave London?
There's nothing more for me here. I hear Paris is quite beautiful. Perchance our paths should cross again.
Perhaps, under those different circumstances.
I look forward to it, detective.
Well, that's that then.
Oui, monsieur. The cases are closed and Mademoiselle Farquhar will shortly be behind bars.
What of the others?
Judging by the detective inspector's glare at Monsieur Aylesworth, he will not be escaping the law. And Bishop Mountjoy. Once news spreads of his connection with the black market, I would question his attendance come the Sunday service.
I was hoping at least someone would get a happy ending.
Monsieur Hastings, you have been by my side throughout this investigation. Without you, the guilty parties, would not be facing the consequences of their actions.
I helped where I could, but it was mostly you. I know that.
What you may not know, and I would kindly request you keep to yourself, is that I consider myself somewhat of a...
Loner?
I would not go as far as that. But it appears you understand my sentiment.
Good thing I was around to save you from the gunman.
I fear I shall not live that down.
I'll maybe hold on to it a little longer. Not many can say they've saved the great Detective Poirot.
The great Detective Poirot. As much as I admire your formality, I think we should look for something more familiar, accustomed to our new relationship.
Our new relationship?
I have seen the benefit of friendship. Connecting with someone that can be trusted and loyal. Someone that shares an authenticity not only in themselves, but in their beliefs.
And that's me. Detective Poirot and his trusted friend, Arthur Hastings.
It does have a certain charm to it, n'est-ce pas?